try this again. It is hot here. All right, so been working on this for a while. This is kind of an intro. I want to show you guys what I've been working on. I want to start doing some videos of, instead of just how things work or little clips of me working or time lapse, I'm trying to put a whole video together that kind of shows the process of what I do and how I do it, and maybe teach you guys a little bit. Maybe you guys can teach me a little bit. I know there's a lot of skilled craftsmen out there. But this is just a passion of mine, something that I wanted to do, and I thought that it would be really cool for me to put a video together and kind of bring you guys along for the ride. And so this is the first an installment of a rather lengthy process. I've been working on this for probably 10 years, from generation 1 all the way up through this second generation. But this is the first thing I've really recorded like this so that I can involve you guys and show you. So without further ado, I'm going to show you this. Boom. And wait. Oh yeah. Oh wait, there's more. Oh, yep. Remote control. How awesome is that? So I'm going to go through a whole, I'm going to go through how the parts that I ordered, the pieces I used, the little 3D printed enclosure that I made. You'll see that in later videos. The circuitry that I had to go through, the problems I had, the things I had to overcome. Some of the latest things that I've just overcome that I haven't really talked about yet on any other videos is I installed this thing and the lights were working great. However, when I would go to open it, I would get an oscillation, so that the remote circuitry would turn on and off and on and off and try to open and close the canopy. Obviously, that's not going to work. So what I ended up figuring out was that there is a voltage spike that comes back from the little solenoid air valve. And it was basically resetting the circuitry in the remote system. So I had to put in a diode so that that voltage spike could then shoot to ground, and it would work again. Okay, so I've got the stuff kind of laid out here that I think I'll need, hopefully to make a pretty clean build that'll do everything that I want it to do. So this here is the key fob, remote, and receiver, and I got this from Parallax. You can also get them from Adafruit. I saw some on Amazon, although the lead time on Amazon was 2 to 3 weeks. And Adafruit was out of them, so I got this one from Parallax. I'm a big fan of Parallax. I've used a lot of their microcontrollers in the past. This is a little relay board to take the signals from the receiver and flip some relays to switch some power, so I can actually use those outputs to operate some pneumatic valves and put enough juice through them to turn on some of the lights and stuff. I've got a little 5-volt voltage regulator. I guess I couldn't see that here. It's 5-volt voltage regulator. Those are usually pretty cheap. Unfortunately, I couldn't find a place that had them in stock, so that was like $5. I got all this stuff on Amazon, except for the key fob, which I would have probably got on Amazon were available because the shipping was free and it was a lot faster. Diodes for reverse polarity protection, some prototyping boards just to clean everything up. Oh, the 5-volt voltage regulator is for the key fob. It runs on 5 volts. So I've got to take my 12 volts from the DiamondBack and bring it down to 5 volts for this thing, and then I'll be running 12 volts back through the relays here for the car system. So I've got this will all group together, plus the voltage regulator, plus a little reverse polarity protection, and we'll hopefully mount some of that stuff on some of these circuit boards, wire it together nice and clean with some of these plugs, a couple standoffs. So this whole assembly will be a couple stacked boards, and I'll probably make some kind of an enclosure for them on my on my 3D printer back here. This thing's awesome, by the way. I don't know how many of you guys have played with them, but they're pretty cool for people that like to be able to build stuff and build stuff easily. I'll get into some of those projects later, I'm sure. So, oh yeah, a little bit of wire there too. So we're gonna put it all in that guy. So we'll make the canopy open and close, probably make the air for the pneumatic system turn on and off, just in case. I'm going to have that turned off so that if you're parked for a long time, it doesn't bleed off your pressure. So we'll be able to turn the air on and off. We'll be able to open the canopy and close it. We'll probably be able to do something like the parking lights and interior lights. Potentially, if I can figure out a way to do it safely, maybe a remote start. I don't know. I haven't figured out what the fourth function is going to be. So we got 4 different options on this key fob and 4 different outputs from the receiver and the little relay block. Alright guys, I just took a sweet time lapse of me building this thing, and it totally didn't transfer to the computer and didn't save. So in lieu of that, I'm going to show you basically what I've done. I've got my little voltage reducing circuit with a little bit of reverse polarity protection here, diode, and a voltage regulator. I've just got it running off 9 volts. I'll be running 12 out of the DiamondBack, but this is fine for testing. So that powers the little receiver unit, and then the receiver unit in turn powers the relay block. So here it is on operation. Boop, 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 boop. Ta-da! And I swear to God I did it. You can't see it because my computer didn't want to save it, but I promise I did. Oh, you can tell because of the lovely workmanship, right? Okay, next we'll be making an enclosure to button all this up and make it look nice, something we can actually mount inside the vehicle. And we'll be wiring it up to different parts of the DiamondBack with these relays. So next part will be on the computer, a little 3D designing and some 3D printing, and I'll get back to you with that. I got what I think is my final version of the enclosure. Went through several renditions. I use this ugly PLA for my tests because I don't particularly like the color, and because PLA is cheap and really easy to print with. Main things I had to change, I had to give a little bit more space in there for my PCBs to slide in, and change some of the dimensions on the screw holes and whatnot. So this is what I think will be the final version. This is PETG. It's a higher temperature material. It's not quite as stiff as PLA, but it's a lot more shock resistant, and it's a lot more temperature resistant. And I kind of like this color, although it is a little translucent. Print isn't perfect. It's got some boogers. The lid prints upside down, so it overhang. If this is the base, if this is the floor of the build plate on the printer, it sticks this top down to the build plate, and then this whole piece here is an overhang. So it doesn't like overhangs. Different material works better than others, but you can see here's a little imperfection just from it dripping down a little bit or curling up, and then, you know, trying to print over that, whatever. Not a big deal though, it's solid. It'll work fine. This is going to be buried inside the Predator anyhow. Won't really see it. So, I ran a lead wire out for the power for this unit, and then all the switches will be hooked up through here. I'll run power into the relays, and then I'll be able to switch power to each, you know, the functions through these relays. So, I'm still using my trusty 9-volt over here instead of a power supply. I think my power supply's out in the shop. And it is engaged on power. I don't know if you can see, yeah, you can see those LEDs in there, which I'm not sure I like, because that means if it loses power and it comes back on, the canopy will want to open, and whatever other functions I have on there will want to engage. But I also don't want to run it on the normally open side of the switch, because then this will be powered continuously, and it draws a couple watts. It's not a lot, but I don't want to have any parasitic losses on my electrical system. So here's the remote. All 4 relays, you can hear them click. Turn this light up, maybe we can see the LEDs a little bit better. If I can hold everything here. See that on the camera? Not really. There again. Oops. Alright, here we go. And now it stopped working. And I don't know why. Okay, well, I'm gonna have to open it up and see what's going on. Shit. Okay, here it is. After ordering, let's see, this is my 3rd key fob, because the first one I fried, which was my fault. Second one was faulty, so I had to get this 3rd one. The reason I fried the first one is because this relay board isn't set up to be opto isolated, have the inputs opto isolated right out of the box. You have to change a jumper and wire it a little counterintuitively, and I didn't realize that until after I've already fried the board and started looking into why it wasn't working. So now the key fob circuit, the inputs are opto isolated, which basically means there's no electrical connection to the relays, so the relays won't fry the receiver board. And just 2 separate circuits, so they're both powered from the same source, but then inside here there's 2 voltage regulators, one feeding the key fob receiver and one feeding the relay board. So now, as you can hear, we've got, let's see if I can see those lights. There we go. Oh yeah, that's pretty good. There we go. And those are just the little LEDs on the relay board. So now we should be good to go. Put it in the trike and make it do cool stuff. I reprinted this enclosure too. I wasn't real happy with the old one. It was a little flimsy, a little thin. Some of the settings on my printer weren't real good. I've been playing with the settings on the printer. You can see it's still a little, it looks like it's got some artifacts in there, but it's actually pretty smooth. It's actually pretty decent little print. And it's much more rigid, much more firm. So, if I can get myself to quit playing with it, I'll go put it in the trike and make it do some cool stuff. So, there's a whole bunch more. This is just the intro. I hope you guys enjoy it. I'd like to do a whole series of these. I'd like to do kind of from the beginnings of a design, you know, how the design process goes and how you translate, you know, a napkin sketch into the start of a real design, and then how you go on and choose your parts and figure out how to machine stuff and 3D design, all kinds of stuff. There's a whole slew of practices, a whole slew of arts, I guess, that go into that I've learned from doing this stuff. And honestly, I'm not that great at any of them. I'd like to learn from you guys. There's some very skilled craftsmen, some very skilled artisans out there that could show me a thing or three. So this is trying to get that conversation kind of started, and yeah. So this is my DiamondBack. This is the latest thing that I've been working on. And yeah, hope you guys like it. Like, subscribe. Let me know what you think in the comments. I'll talk to you later. Thanks.
Mm-hmm.